Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rando Rob. This is the second time that I've done this because, unfortunately, I had my microphone on mute, and so I've been talking to a dead screen for the past 5 minutes. So I hope everybody is having a good week so far. Hope everybody had a good weekend and a good week last week. My wife went to California again for another round of surgeries on her legs. She has, as I talked about last time, these growths that are growing in her leg, and the surgeons that can do this are based in California to remove this, and it's relieving a lot of pain in her legs because these growths can push on her joints, on her knees and ankles and stuff. So they're able to get that stuff out of there. And, it's been a good deal. She's had this pain for a long time and they didn't really know what it was. And finally they figured out what it was. So that part's been good. So it was just my daughter and I here hanging at the house last week. And, over the weekend, I was able to get online and play games with the TeamSpeak Irregulars, which is a group of people that now meet regularly and chat through Discord. So the name no longer really fits the group, but Amigo Aaron from the Amigos introduced me to the TeamSpeak Irregulars, and you can find them Saturday nights. It sounds like a plug. It's not really, but Saturday nights at 6:30, and that's the Eastern time zone. And you could go to twitch.tv/ARG Presents, and that's the channel that the games stream on. And so it's a bunch of guys just like me who get on Saturday night and get on and play Steam games, multiplayer games, and beat each other up and shoot each other's tanks. And we play Friday the 13th and some other stuff like that. So it's a fun time. Again, you can join that stream and you can watch us and interact with us. And if you have the games that we're playing, you can come on in and join us and have a good time. So it feels weird for me to be inviting other people, telling other people about that, because it's not really my group. It's their group, but they're very open and welcoming to new people that want to play games and stuff like that. And so when I was on there this weekend, we got to talking about one of my favorite old topics as a kid, which was Choose Your Own Adventure books. I was a big fan of Choose Your Own Adventure books, and feels like I had dozens and dozens, even though today I have of the original brand, which I just call I call the brand Choose Your Own Adventure, but in general I call those CYOA-style books. Any book that was like that, where you would read a page and jump to a different page and things like that. But Choose Your Own Adventures, the actual brand, I probably have a dozen or less of those. But for a long time, I was interested in collecting like third-party CYOA books. I have several Dungeons and Dragons. I think I have 3 of the paperbacks, 3 of the 4. Of the original, where it was a Choose Your Own Adventure D&D branded book. And I have an Indiana Jones one. I have a couple of different ones. I think I have a G.I. Joe one, which came out. So, once Choose Your Own Adventure books, you can't copyright the idea of a Choose Your Own Adventure style book. Twist-a-Plot was a very popular one because that was part of the Scholastic book club, and so you couldn't get CYO or Choose Your Own Adventure brand books, but you could get Twist-a-Plot ones. So I got those. I had another one called Which Way books when I was a kid, but what was really cool is whenever you got one that really mixed almost a crossover, 2 different things that you liked. If you think about like the Indiana Jones, I loved Indiana Jones. I love Choose Your Own Adventure. And so to get a book that would be both of those was really cool. And this is one of those style books. This is a Zork brand, Choose Your Own Adventure. Now, I do not claim to be an expert on Zork. I can tell you that Zork was originally a text adventure that was made to run on a mainframe. It was made by a bunch of guys that worked at MIT, and there had been an earlier game called Colossal Cave, which was based on Mammoth Cave, a real cave. And Colossal Cave was a pretty simplistic text adventure, and this is 1975. And Colossal Cave was kind of like a treasure hunt. You just went directions throughout the cave, north, south, east, west. You go, and then you would find treasures, But there wasn't a lot of problem solving, and there wasn't puzzles, and there wasn't a lot of in-depth descriptions. It's a pretty stripped down game, but it was still pretty cool, to play at the time. And so these guys from MIT, these 4 guys, got together, and they were like, we want to do that. We want to take that game but make it better. And so they took it and they expanded every part of it. So they made the descriptions much more descriptive. They improved the parser. The parser on Colossal Cave was only 2 words, like go west or, get gold or whatever like that. But in Zork, you could kind of type sentences. You could like use the sword on whoever, things like that. So they really made the parser better. And I do remember that at MIT, any program that you wrote and put on the mainframe, the slang word for that was Zork. So any program that was not really, ready for prime time yet or anything, you just wanted to throw it on there and test it or whatever, that was called a Zork. And so they had called their game Zork. They were just referring to it as Zork. And when it was all done, it was obviously kind of inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. And so they called it Dungeon, and they received a cease and desist from TSR, who said, you can't call your computer name Dungeon. It's too close to Dungeons and Dragons. And so they said, well, we'll just call it Zork, because that was the nickname of the program all along. And so Zork was wildly popular. The 4 guys that wrote Zork basically founded Infocom, and that was where that started. And I had this interesting fact. Let me see if I can find it here on this page real quick. It said Zork was one of the few programs that over time sales went up instead of down. Here we go. It says Zork 1's sales surprised Infocom by rising and not falling over time. Many dealers sold the game as an essential accessory to those purchasing new computers. It was the best-selling game of 1982, with 32,000 copies sold in just the first half of the year. But it had sold 100,000 copies by 1983, and it sold more than 150,000 copies in 1984. Which it says in just 1984, it was 20% of Infocom's sales. By 1986, it had sold a total of almost 400,000 copies. And then, so Zork was originally this giant game, and it got kind of split up into multiple games, Zork 1, Zork 2, Zork 3, but so Infocom really hadn't intended on writing the coattails of Zork. They had all these other games. They thought, well, now that we have this engine, we can make other text adventures and things like that. But Zork just continued to be a moneymaker, and so there was a time where they started marketing, I guess. Zork. I mean, they would keep going back to that. There was Beyond Zork and other, other Zork games, and. Anyway, eventually, one of the guys, Eric Mertzke, came up with this, and it says an Infocom book by S. Eric Mertzke, Zork, the Malifestro Quest. So you can see it right here again. It says again, the brand, the original brand was Choose Your Own Adventure, right? And then there was a Telltale book or a Twist of Plot, and they all gave that. You couldn't say it was a Choose Your Own Adventure because that was copyrighted. You had to come up with some other way to convey the fact that it was not a traditional novel. And this one says a What Do I Do Now book. It says that right across the top. And this is number 2 in the series. This is the only one that I have. And on the back here it says, Zork, a fabulous kingdom in which you decide what happens, with wizards, elves, cyclops, magic potions, snow monsters, and adventure on every page. And you decide the outcome, based on the most popular computer game adventure and fantasy. Number 2, the Malifestro Quest. Malifestro, a powerful wizard from a neighboring land, has imprisoned CYOA, the rightful ruler. He demands as ransom half of the land and 10,000 slaves. Only you can rescue CYOA and save the kingdom. So I like when a book tells you right up front, this is this is what we're going to do, and this is the goal. So as you go through the game here, I mean, it's not really a game. I mean, it is an adventure. But like a lot of the other Choose Your Own Adventure type games, there's lots of artwork, so you can see this is some dude with it looks like a big, I guess that's a morning star. It's not a mace, right? And it looks like on this page, the guy, if you had chose this, it says, down at the bottom, it says, the thieves search Bivatar and Geranda, removing the ring of Zork and taking all the weapons. What do we do with them now, boss? Oh, just kill them. The end. And then at the bottom, it says, if you stop here, your score is 2 out of a possible 10 points, but you probably deserve another chance. And then it tells you if you want to try something else, it tells you to go back and make another choice. But this is kind of interesting because if you remember when you played classic text adventures, there was always a score. So you would start off a game and it would say, you currently have a possible 0 out of 100 points or something like that. And so it's interesting that this book, you actually, there is a score depending on how far you get. Here's some more pictures of different adventures and guys that are in here. So I don't remember where I got this, to be honest with you. Maybe I found it at a book sale or a garage sale. It seems like something oddly specific that you would just run into at a garage sale, but I know I didn't buy it new. In fact, on the front page, it says property of Scott Lee. So Scott Lee may have been the person who purchased it new. Thank you, Scott, for giving me your book or selling me your book. So I used to, when I would go to bookstores, I would look for go to kids area and look for Choose Your Own Adventure type books, but I've never found them in a traditional bookstore. Normally you would only find them maybe at garage sales and things like that. Now you find them on eBay, and if you can find them for $1 or $2 each, that's a pretty good deal. Usually what you find is a lot of books, like a sales lot, not a lot of, but you'll find 10 books, and it'll be 10 books for $25 or something like that. So they still have, they definitely have value if you have some. If you have some that you don't want, let me know, and I'll pay the shipping. You can send them to me, and I will add them to my collection of Choose Your Own Adventure books. I love them. I will every now and then. I feel kind of dopey as a guy in his 40s reading through kids' books, but I do enjoy them. I remember reading them on the bus as a kid. I remember reading them during lunch sometimes. So I definitely have a connection, a nostalgic collection with Choose Your Own Adventure books. And again, like I said, anytime that you found one where two worlds overlapped, that was even better. And so for Zork, as a kid, when I was on the bus, you couldn't play computer games. Later, you could play Game Boy or something, I suppose, but it still wasn't what I wanted to play. I couldn't be at a keyboard. We were a long ways off from the days of laptops and things like that. So to be able to play something that reminded me or read something that reminded me of a computer game when I couldn't be around a computer was pretty cool. So anyway, this is, like I said, the only book from the Zork series that I have. I know they're made others. I'm going to see if it says here in the opening, if it has a list of other Zork books. This says, nope. This says, watch for these What Do I Do Now books coming soon from Tor. And it has 2 listed, and this is one of them. And the other one is The Cavern of Doom. So it says, watch for other books, including the one you're holding right now. So there must not have been very many at that time. But anyway, one random thing I just happened to pull out over the weekend through a conversation, and I thought being computer people and people who are into games and stuff, you might appreciate this too. So anyway, I love all you guys, and I appreciate all the support and everything on Patreon and for listening to the shows. I hope you're enjoying the Sprite Castle. I hope you're enjoying You Don't Know Flack. And I am still in a place where I am enjoying making them. So this will be a week for You Don't Know Flack. And I have 2 or 3 different topics that are I'm kind of juggling. And I'll have to decide which one I want to go with. I haven't decided yet. But you'll know probably the day after I know. Because the day I know, I'll record it, and the day afterwards, you'll download it. So anyway, thank you guys, and I will see y'all soon.